Now that you know a little bit more about the 3-act structure and what I mean when I say the 3-act structure, I'd love for you to get in your best friend's head and tell us, as a means of introducing yourself again to us, how your best friend would describe your life with a 3-act structure, meaning a beginning, middle, and end. What would be the super titles of your first, your second, and your third act? I do want to urge you to think about why this was a little bit more difficult than yesterday. I think it's important to me to, again, like a big takeaway from yesterday was that we have to start thinking of ourselves as writers, right? And we also have to start thinking of ourselves as these amazing people that you just described. That's like that's like part of taking your power as a creator and a writer. And you really have to believe in yourself in order for other people to believe in you. And I know that's so cliche, but it's true. And as you see, it's a muscle. Like it's the muscle of that. It's the muscle of facing yourself when you have to put 3 lines on paper about yourself that you realize that the muscle isn't there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to train it. So I urge you to explore that. Okay, so as you know, I'm deeply, deeply passionate about Aristotle's 3-act structure. I fervently believe that it's the basis for all good sort of storytelling. And more importantly for you guys, it's really a tangible and meaningful source to be able to break apart any story and to be able for you to create any story. The following, what's up here, if you weren't here yesterday, but if you are, I'm just summarizing. This is what a 3-act structure looks like in practice. What's broken up there, broken being like the terminology we use to just create story, right? We break story, we break scenes, we break pilots. That's what we mean. We're just creating story. What's up there is a 90-page movie broken into a 3-act structure. Okay. Again, a reminder, as you know from yesterday, and as you will know for the rest of your life now, and hopefully you will be able to hear me on your shoulder every time you write a scene. Action is the most important component of this. Plots and plot points aren't just things that just happen, right? I mean, oftentimes we can decide, like we see this and experience this a lot in action movies, right? Plot points happen because external forces are happening to us, right? But a truly effective action plot point is defined by your character's action, right? So let's be very clear. The film that we're describing together just now in the example isn't just a movie about immigration, right? First, it starts with really clear action. Priscilla has just moved from Colombia to the States. Now she has to fight to make her way in the States, right? And then that's the entire action of Act 1. She's fighting her way. Every scene is about her fighting her way through the States. That's the cementing of Act 1. Then when she bumps into this clone twin lookalike person, the action of Act 2 is very specific and it is crystal clear. She needs to find out who this person is. That's what's going to drive every scene. That's what drives every conversation. And I'm not saying that everything needs to be overt, but I need to be very clear on the fact that this is the journey that my character is going through, okay? Action always drives plot. Then we know what's getting in the way of that action, right? I love to define action not only by what a character wants, but what does a character need? Okay, what does your character do when their house is on fire and they have no oxygen? What does your character do when you back them up into a corner entirely, and how do they get out of that corner? That's really where you want to get to when defining action for yourself, okay? Whether it's internal or external. Action, then conflict. What's getting in the way of them getting that need? What's getting in the way of them getting what they want? What gets in the way, right? When scenes read flat, it's maybe because there is no action or there's no conflict, right? When things just come too easy, when you can just move forward too easily, too quickly, too whatever, that's when things aren't interesting. We love drama. We love TV and film because we're watching action. We're watching people trying to get something and something is in the way of them getting that. That's why we love entertainment. And so we have to continuously challenge ourselves as storytellers and creators to do the same. Can't tell you how many times I've started my own scenes to just be like, yeah, no, but the scene is it's about this. It doesn't really matter what it's about. A better question to ask yourself is, what does my character want in the scene? What happens? What happens in the scene? That's a better way to start looking at our scene work. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk through the first season through a similar process than we just did through this. This is like so ambitious. I can't even I can't even begin to really talk about how ambitious it is, but I know we're gonna do it. We're gonna break the season. What I'm looking for are inciting incidents, which we already kind of have, right? Like the inciting incident is that someone gets kidnapped. But we're gonna walk through the inciting incident. I need to be looking for a proper break into a second act, okay? What the action of that second act is gonna be, right? And then I need a proper break, an all is lost moment from act 2 to act 3. What's threatening, what we just decided is gonna be our second act. And then our final, surprisingly inevitable resolution that hopefully will set us up for a second season of television, okay? That's what I need from you in this exercise. I'm gonna give you the next 7-8 minutes. I want you guys to take the next 10 minutes or so, because now we need to break our pilot, since that's really what we're writing. And we have about an hour left to really figure out what that is. So take the next 10 minutes. Here's what I need, right? It's the same process we just went through, but like completely summarized down, right? We have our log line for our pilot. We know that in the pilot, we have 3 friends who live in an apartment in the middle of COVID. And at the end of the pilot, Luna gets kidnapped, okay? What I need from this exercise is the inciting incident of this pilot, okay? Why is this pilot happening now? What takes me in a new direction of this pilot, right? The all is lost moment of the pilot. And then the final resolution, which, a reminder, is the scavenger hunt. Based on what we already have, you might deduce that the all is lost moment is probably the moment that Luna gets kidnapped. But maybe not. The moment that Luna gets kidnapped could also just be my break into act 2. It just depends on how quickly we want to jump into things, right? And then what creates my inciting incident? Is it COVID? Is it a fight that happens between the 3 friends? Like, that's what we need to start thinking about. Remembering that the final beat of the pilot is the scavenger hunt. So 2 things that I need information-wise from this pilot. Luna gets kidnapped, scavenger hunt happens. How we structure that is up to us now. Take the next 10 minutes to sort of like work through that. Okay, guys, so this is all really, really, really good stuff. So this is sort of what I've gathered from everyone's sort of thought processes as we walk through this. Something I should highlight is that because Luna is going to be away from her friends and her friends are about to spend an entire series trying to find their friend, their friendship and why it matters needs to be crystal clear. Like, we need to care about this friendship so much. We need to care about this friendship like it's our own. We need to care about the way that Rosa and Sophia care for Luna like it's our own friendship that we're fighting for, right? So that needs to be cemented. I like the idea that we do start off with a fight or something that immediately brings us into the dynamic of these 3 friends right in it, right? So something that we'll talk about on Friday is the importance of getting in late. You know, like, you get into scenes as late as possible and you get out early. This is what makes us have to lean forward, right? Like, when we start in the middle of an argument, instead of like building up to it, when we start in the middle of an argument, we're immediately in, right? So I like the idea of getting in really late with the sort of argument of the 3 of them, right? In this apartment that has to do with COVID, probably toilet paper, like something that immediately brings me presently into this moment right away so that I know everything, right? If it's an argument in the middle of their tiny apartment in New York City, fighting for toilet paper in the middle of COVID. I know exactly where I am, who these people are, and what we're doing, right? The challenge here is who carries the action in this scene? We know, if you imagine it, I just already see it. It's like three friends, they're all yelling at each other. Someone has to go pee, they get to the bathroom, there's no more toilet paper. She's like in the middle of crying. She comes back into the living room. She's like, oh, there's no more toilet paper. And like, that's like part of the thing. And then we understand the circumstances, right? Like that's that fun that we get to play in this sort of dramedy world. But who's gonna carry the action in the scene and what are they trying to get? This argument, we're saying, yes, Rose's thing, exactly. She just, like, this is about belonging. Everyone, right now you're hitting on like theme, you know, like greater themes for everyone, which is an important way to also walk through story. But again, that's another workshop. Like the theme probably here is that everyone just wants to belong, you know, and how we're all gonna find our way to do that. So we start with this argument. This is what sets us into the story. Luna was supposed to get toilet paper, but didn't. This argument launches our story now, right? What happens at the end of this argument that gets us into our next moment? So, because this is 15 pages of a pilot and not 30, normally we would set up a couple scenes thereafter. But probably our next scene, I venture to say that this is going to be like 12 pages, 12 to 15. We'll see, depending on how much you're writing. Our next scene, in this very long first scene of cementing our Act 1 and what this dynamic is, the next scene is our launch into Act 2. Again, just a reminder, this wouldn't happen in a normal pilot, but because it's truncated, it's literally half of a normal pilot, we have to treat it like every scene that we are going to write together is a break, is a plot point, okay? That's what we're doing. So what's gonna set up our thing into a new direction? Reminder that we, you know, knowing where we're headed. The pilot starts, we're in the middle of an argument between three friends. They're fighting because Luna was supposed to get toilet paper and she forgot. The fight turns into Luna claiming that she never feels like she belongs in this friendship, right? She like uses the toilet paper as an analogy for their friendship. By the end of the argument, they're like, we do love you. This is all in your mind, but can you please go find us toilet paper? Like you said you were gonna find toilet paper and we're out of toilet paper. By the end of the argument, Luna is out on the streets to go find toilet paper. My instinct is telling me that the kidnapping needs, the kidnapping is the break into Act 2. And that it does happen when she's like on her way to CVS. Because then we spend a little bit more time with Luna. We spend one whole scene with her. The reversal of that scene is going to be that she gets kidnapped at the end. That launches us into a new Act 2 of our pilot. And then we'll work from there. Sophia and Rosa find out that Luna is missing. They're going to try and figure out where she's missing to, right? Or what do they figure out in Act 2 of this pilot? And then what happens at the all is lost moment? That's what we need to figure out in the next 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to propose this as a midpoint. It's not perfect, but whoever writes this scene will just carry on through and interpret, okay? The midpoint for this scene 4 of our pilot is going to be Sophia and Rosa are going through Luna's room to find or understand where she could have gone or who she could have been with or what her next steps are. Through that, we'll learn a little bit more about Luna. More importantly, we'll have a moment of like Sophia and Rosa to be able to cherish the fact that Luna's gone and how much they love her, you know? And we'll be able to like introduce, maybe Luna has an obsession with the CIA, maybe whatever it is that we learn. That's what I'll propose to you, right? Whoever writes that scene, this is that moment, right? Because it's about two friends finding a friend in search of a friend because they really care about her. So we're gonna make that, we're gonna encapsulate that in a single scene. Sophia and Rosa are going through Luna's room trying to find clues of where she could have last been. And in that moment, they get to just remember how amazing their friend is. This is when like the pictures are gonna come through. This is when we'll learn about their past. They're gonna open yearbooks, all that stuff, okay? So I don't have very much time more. Now I just wanna talk through, I just wanna be sure that these scenes are out for everyone. So I'm gonna type it out, okay?
Right? Priscilla has assigned scenes for the plot for the pilot, each with a different plot point to write from. You have been given a scene to work on labeled number 1 through number 6. Each scene should be approximately 2 to 3 pages. Work on your scene based on the number that you were given.
In terms of looking at how to structure scenes or how to write them, I suggest you just Google your favorite TV show and look up their pilot, and then just look at that and just be like, okay, this is how you write, this is how you start writing. Let action be your guide, right? You have the plot point, what is the action of these scenes, and let that guide you.